Alright, this is part 85 of Nos4a2, the library. Maggie Lee's office behind the fish tank was still there, in a matter of speaking. The tank was empty, with filthy Scrabble tiles heaped in the bottom, the cloudy glass walls giving a view of what had once been the children's library. Maggie's gunmetal desk remained, although the surface had been gouged and scratched, and someone had spray-painted a gaping red vulva on one side. An unlit candle bent over a pool of violet wax. Maggie's paperweight, Chekhov's gun, and yes, Vic got the joke now, held her place in the hardcover she was reading. Victonus by Borge. There was a tweed couch that Vic didn't remember. It was a yard sale number, some rents in it patched with duct tape, and some holes not patched at all, but at least it wasn't damp, didn't stink of mildew. "What happened to your koi?" Vic asked. "I'm not sure. I think someone ate it," Maggie said. "I hope it made someone a good meal. No one should go hungry." There were syringes and rubber tubing on the floor. Vic was careful not to step on any needles as she made her way to the couch and lowered herself upon it. "Those aren't mine," Maggie said, nodding to the syringes, and she went for the broom that was leaning in a corner where once there had been a coat rack. The broom itself doubled as the coat rack now. Maggie's filthy old fedora hung upon it. "I haven't shot up since last year. Too expensive. I don't know how anyone can afford to get high in this economy." Maggie set her hat on her sherbet-colored hair with the dignity and care of a drunk dandy about to sway out of the absinthe hall and into a rainy Paris night. She took up her broom and swept. The syringes clattered in a glassy sort of way across the cement. "I can wrap your leg and give you some oxy," Maggie said. "Way cheaper than heroin." She bent to her desk, found a key, and locked the bottom drawer. She reached in and removed an orange pill bottle, a carton of cigarettes, and a rotting purple Scrabble bag. "Sobriety is often cheaper than Oxycontin," Vic said. Maggie shrugged and said, "I only take as needed." She poked a cigarette into the corner of her mouth, lit a match with her thumbnail. A good trick. "When is it needed?" "It's a painkiller. I take it to kill pain." She drew smoke, put the lighter down. "That's all. What happened to you, Vic?" Vic settled back into the couch, head on the armrest. She could not bend her left knee all the way or unbend it, could hardly bear to move it. She could hardly bear to look at it. It was twice the size of the other knee, a purple and brown map of bruises. She began to talk, telling about the last 2 days as best she could remember, getting things out of order, providing explanations that seemed more confusing than the things they were meant to explain. Maggie did not interrupt or ask for clarification. A faucet ran for half a minute, then stopped. Vic let out a sharp, pained breath when Maggie put a cold, damp washcloth against her left knee and gently held it there. Maggie opened her medicine bottle and took out a little white pill. Fragrant blue smoke unspooled from her cigarette, draped her like the ghost of a scarf. "I can't take that," Vic said. Sure you can. You don't have to dry swallow 'em. I've got lemonade. It's a little warm but pretty tasty." "No, I mean it'll put me to sleep. I've slept too much already." "On a concrete floor? After you were gassed? That isn't sleep." She gave Vic the tablet of Oxycontin. "That's unconsciousness." "Maybe after we talk. If I try to help you find out what you want to know, do you promise you won't ride off until you rest?" Vic reached for the other woman's hand and squeezed it. "I do." Maggie smiled and patted Vic's knuckles, but Vic did not let go of her. She said, "Thank you, Maggie, for everything, for trying to warn me, for helping me. I'd give anything to take back the way I acted when I saw you in Haverhill. I was scared of you. That's not an excuse. There isn't an excuse. There's a lot of things I wish I could redo. You can't imagine. I wish there was something I could do to show you how sorry I am. Something I could give you besides words." Maggie's whole face lit up. A child seeing a kite lift into the blue sky. "Oh, darn, Vic, you're gonna make me cry. What's better is the whole world than words. Besides, you're already doing something," Maggie said. "You're here. It's so nice to have someone to talk to. Not that it's much fun to talk to me." "Shh. You shush with that. Your stammer doesn't bother me as half half as much as it bothers you, Vic said. The first time we met, you told me that your Scrabble tiles and my bike were both knives for cutting through the stitches between reality and thought. You had that right. That's not the only thing they can cut. They wound up cutting both of us pretty good. I know that my bridge, the shorter way, damaged me. In here, she reached up and tapped her left temple. I traveled across it a few times too many, and it put my mind out of joint. I've never been right. I burned down my home. I burned down my life. I ran away from both of the boys I loved because I was scared of damaging them or not being enough for them. That's what my knife did to me. And you've got this thing with your speech. It's like I managed to cut out my own tongue with my knife. Seems like the only one who ever winds up bleeding from using his psychic knife is Mannix. Oh no, Vic, Mannix has had it worst. He's been bled completely dry. Maggie lowered her eyelids, drawing a deep, luxurious lungful of smoke. The tip of her cigarette throbbed in the darkness. She removed the cigarette from her mouth, looked at it thoughtfully for a moment, and then stabbed it into her own bare thigh through one of the tears in her jeans. Jesus! Vic shouted. She sat up so quickly that the room lurched hard in one direction and her stomach lurched hard in the other. She fell back against the armrest, overcome by dizziness. For the best, Maggie said through clenched teeth. I want to be able to talk to you, not just spray you with spit. The breath spurted out of her in short, pained exhalations. It's only a way I can get my tiles to say anything anyhow, and sometimes even that isn't enough. Was necessary. What were we saying? Oh, Maggie, Vic said. Don't make a big deal. Let's get to it, or I'll have to do that again. The more I do it, the less well it works. You said Mannix is bled dry. That's right. The wraith makes him young and strong. It preserves him, but it's cost him his ability to feel regret or empathy. That's what his knife cut out of him, his humanity. Yeah, except it's going to cut the same thing out of my son, too. The car changes the children Mannix takes with him on these trips to Christmas Land. It turns them into fucking vampires or something, doesn't it? Close enough, Maggie said. She rocked back and forth, eyes shut against the pain in her leg. Christmas Land is an inscape, right? A place Mannix invented out of thought. A make-believe place. Oh, it's a real place. Ideas are as real as rocks. Your bridge is real too, you know? It isn't actually a covered bridge, of course. The rafters, the roof, the boards under your tires, they're stage dressing for something more basic. When you left the gas mask man's house and came here, you didn't cross a bridge. You crossed an idea that looked like a bridge. And when Mannix gets to Christmas Land, he'll be arriving at an idea of happiness that looks like, I don't know, Santa Claus's workshop? I think it's an amusement park. Amusement park. That sounds about right. Mannix doesn't have happiness anymore. Only amusement. It's an idea of endless fun, endless youth, dressed up in a form his dumb little mind can understand. His vehicle is the instrument that opens the way. Suffering and unhappiness provide the energy to run the car and open his passage to that place. This is also why he has to take the kids with him. The car needs something he no longer has. He drains unhappiness from the children just like a B-movie vampire sucking blood. And when he uses them up, they're monsters. They're still children, I think. They're just children who can't understand anything except fun. They've been remade into Mannix's ideal of childhood perfection. He wants kids to be forever innocent. Innocence ain't all it's cracked up to be, you know? Innocent little kids rip their wings off flies because they don't know any better. That's innocence. The car takes what Mannix needs and changes his passengers so they can live in his world of thought. It sharpens their teeth and robs them of their need for warmth. A world of pure thought would be pretty cold, I bet. Now take your pill, Vic. You need to rest and get your strength back before you ride out of here to face him again. She held out her palm with the tablet in it. Maybe I could use something. Not just for my knee, for my head, Vic told her and then winced at a fresh stab of pain in her left eyeball. I wonder why I always feel it behind my left eye whenever I use my bridge. Been like that since childhood. She laughed shakily. I wept blood once, you know. Maggie said, creative ideas form in the right side of the brain. But did you know the right side of the brain sees out from your left eye? And it must take a whole lot of energy to shove a thought out of your head and into the real world. All that energy zapping you right, she pointed at Vic's left eye. There. Vic looked longingly at the pill. Still, she hesitated. You are going to answer my questions, yes? With your tiles? You haven't asked anything I need them for yet. I need to know how to kill him. He died in prison, but it didn't stick. You already know the answer to that one, I think. Vic took the Oxycontin from Maggie's hand and accepted the carton of lemonade when she offered it. The juice was warm and sticky and sweet and good. She knocked the Oxy down on the first swallow. The pill left a faint, bitter aftertaste. The car, Vic said. The Wraith. Yeah, when the car fell apart, he fell apart. At some point, someone probably yanked the engine right out of it and he dropped dead at last. But then the engine was put back and the car was fixed up and there you go. As long as the car is roadworthy, so is he. So if I destroy the car, I destroy him? Maggie took a long suck on her cigarette. The tip of it was the brightest thing in the dark. Bet on it. Okay, Vic said. It had only been a minute or two, but the pill was already starting to kick in. When she closed her eyes, she felt as if she were gliding soundlessly on her old, tough burner, moving through a dim and shady forest. Vic, Maggie said gently, and Vic pulled her head up off the armrest and blinked rapidly, realized she had been just a moment from dozing off. Some pill, she said. What do you need to ask my tiles? Maggie prodded. You better get to it while you still can. My kid. I'm going to have to go to Christmas Land to get him. They'll be there tonight, I think, or early tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be there too. But by then, Wayne will be different. I could hear it in his voice when I talked to him. He's fighting it, but the car is making him into one of those fucking things. Can I fix him? I need to know that. If I get him back, is there some way to cure him? I don't know. No child has ever come back from Christmas Land. So ask. Your bag of letters can tell you that, can it? Maggie slid off the edge of the couch onto the floor. She gave the moth-eaten sack a gentle shake. The tiles clicked and rattled within. Let's see what we can see, she said, and plunged a hand inside. She troweled about, came up with a fistful of tiles, and dropped them on the floor. XO, XOO, XO, XXO. Maggie stared at them with a look of weary dismay. This is all I get most days. Hugs and kisses for the lonely, stammering girl. Maggie swept one hand across the floor, grabbing the letters and jamming them back into the bag. Okay, it's okay. It was worth a try. You can't know everything. You can't find out everything. No, Maggie said. When you come to a library to find something out, you should get what you want. She dug around in her faux leather pouch and came up with another fistful of tiles, threw them at the floor. P, 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 P. Don't stick your tongue out at me, she said to her letters. She snatched up the tiles, dropped them in the bag, then shoved her hand in the Scrabble purse once again. This time her arm disappeared, almost to the elbow, and Vic heard what sounded like hundreds of tiles grinding and clattering around. Maggie came up with another fistful, let them fall. F-U, 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 F-U. Fuck me? Fuck me? Maggie cried. Throw my earrings back in my face. Fuck you. She plucked her cigarette out of her mouth, but before she could sink it into her own arm, Vic sat up, caught her wrist. Don't, Vic said. The room swooped this way and that, as if Vic were sitting in a swing. Still, she held Maggie's arm. Maggie stared up at her, her eyes bright in their sunken hollows, bright and frightened and exhausted. We'll get it another time, Maggie. Maybe I'm not the only one who needs some rest. You were in Massachusetts a week and a half ago. You came back by bus the whole way? I hitched some, Maggie said. When's the last time you ate? Yesterday. I had a sandwich from And like that, she went mute. Her face darkened from red to a deep, grotesque shade of violet as if she were strangling. Spit foamed at the corners of her lips. Shh, Vic said. Shh, okay? We'll get you something to eat. Maggie exhaled smoke, glanced around for a place to extinguish her cigarette, and then put it out in the far armrest. It hissed, and a black coil of smoke drifted toward the ceiling. After your nap, Vic? Vic nodded, slumping backward. She didn't have it in her to wrangle with Maggie. I'll nap, and you'll nap, Vic said, and then we'll get you some food, get you some clothes, save Wayne, save the library, make things better. Do it all. Wonder Twin powers activate. Lie down. Okay, you take the couch. I've got a nice old blanket. I can just stretch out on the floor. With me, Maggie. There's room on the couch for us both. Vic was awake, but seemed to have lost the ability to force her eyes open again. You wouldn't mind? No, sweetheart, Vic said, as if she were speaking to her son. Maggie slipped onto the couch beside her and pressed herself to Vic's side, her bony hip against Vic's, her bony elbow across Vic's stomach. Will you hold me, Vic? Maggie asked in a tremulous voice. It's been a long time since anyone nice held me. I mean, I know you're not into girls since you have a kid and all, but... Vic put her arm around Maggie's waist and held the thin, shivering woman against her. You can shut up now, you know, Vic said. Oh, Maggie said. Oh, okay. That's a relief.